able to take that series in 5 games to move on to the first ever finals appearance for this franchise. And we welcome you to Atlanta. Pam Ward here. I'll be all by myself over here at the table, but this is a special game. We have both Rebecca Lobo and Kara Lawson behind the benches with their respective teams. And we'll start with Washington. And boy, Kara, they're off to a great start on this road trip.
Oh, they absolutely are, Pam. This is perhaps the best offensive team in the league, certainly the most entertaining for my money. But what's been different about this road trip for the Mystics, the defensive end and how committed they've been. When they play defense of this type of quality, that's what makes them a championship favorite, one of the great contenders in the WNBA. And of course, they're led by their all-star Elena Delle Donne, coming off a terrific offensive performance against Las Vegas the other night. 29 points, 11 rebounds, and she's just an ultimate matchup dilemma at 6'5". You can take her off the dribble with her athleticism, but she can also knock down that three-point shot with regularity. That three-point shot allows for the spacing, Rebecca. Man, what a challenge for Atlanta today defensively.
It's also going to be a challenge offensively for Atlanta. This is a team that struggled on that end of the floor this season, and they've struggled early in games. One of their players they need to get going early and to stay hot is Tiffany Hayes. She had her best game of the season earlier this week when she scored 28 points against Indiana. She can be a real catalyst for this team. Atlanta coach Nikki Collins said her team needs to play with more passion, more energy. I'm right near their bench. I'll get to see firsthand the passion and energy coming from the coaching staff and their players.
Nikki Collins, their head coach, did talk about wanting to get off to a great start, particularly against this hot Washington team. Tiffany Hayes, the 8th-year player out of UConn, certainly one of the keys to that. As we take a look now at the starting lineups, first off for Washington, they've won 6 of their first 9 games. Already talked about Elena Delle Donne, the marvelous player, averaging over about 16 points per game. Christy Tolliver, her running mate in the backcourt. Atkins, Sanders, Cloud, and for Atlanta, Renee Montgomery Hayes, Nia Coffey, who came over in a trade earlier this year, and Elizabeth Williams about to tip off. Elizabeth Williams celebrating her 26th birthday today. And we are underway. The Dream wearing the blue, the Mystics in red. Two teams played back on June 1st. Washington won 96-75, and right away they go into Williams, who scores over Delle Donne.
Nikki Collins telling us before the game how important it is to get paint touches, and she doesn't just mean on passes like that. She needs her guards to get dribble, penetration, touches in the paint, much more efficient on the offensive end when they do so.
Delle Donne missed. That's a great box out by Elizabeth Williams. Nikki Collins was the WNBA's Coach of the Year last year, as she took them to 23 wins, and they got all the way to the semifinals before they fell to Washington. Tasha Cloud called for the foul as she ran into a screen. And we have both coaches mic'd up as well on this afternoon game in Atlanta. Jessica Breland, who hit a 3 for the first time in a couple of years in her last game, passed up that 3. Coffey with the miss. Delle Donne gives it up to Cloud. Sanders absolutely stopped by Williams, but Delle Donne was able to pick it up and put it in off glass.
Yeah, so smooth and so composed. I mean, that's the challenge about guarding Elena, is you have to honor that shot fake she gives you just inside the three-point line, and that enables her to have an alleyway to go to the rim.
Delle Donne in her last 3 games on fire, averaging just under 20 points per game, and boy, she does make it look easy.
She doesn't get sped up, and she's perfectly capable at 6'5" to be able to get a clean line of vision to the rim. No matter who's guarding her, I mean, there may be a few that have the length to challenge her, but I don't know that they have the athleticism to stay in front.
Coffey called for her first foul for Atlanta. Sanders has it rim out, but is able to chase down the rebound. Good double team as Hayes and Williams teamed up on Tolliver, but Washington hangs on with 10 to shoot.
Nikki Collin telling us before the game defensively that they've got the Deladon rules and the Tolliver rules, and early we see that one of the Tolliver rules defensively is to double team her on ball screens.
Tolliver and Deladon will indeed be the focus of the defense. Deladon in isolation with Breland, and unaware of the shot clock winding down. And Washington turns it over.
Was that our guy Mike Peterson down there, Rebecca, yelling?
I think so.
Okay. So we'll have all the plays probably by the end of the half. He's got some lumps on him down there.
Mike Peterson along with Darius Taylor, the assistants to Nikki Collin. Breland saves it from going into the backcourt. Shot missed by Coffey, and Sanders chases down the rebound. Washington coming in as the highest scoring team in the league, on pace to set a franchise record, scoring about 86 points per game. Deladon, good ball movement. And she's off the rim, but Sanders has been all over the board. She got fouled on the putback.
I think Mike Thibault has to be happy early on, at least at the quality of shots that he's getting for his team, right? I mean, the first play of the game, they get Deladon a clean look from beyond the arc, and then get her another one with a nice one more pass by Christy Tolliver. And Rebecca, here's what happens with switching in certain actions, okay? Now your small gets caught on a big, and Atlanta's going to switch those Deladon screens. Where you can take advantage sometimes is not always getting the ball to the player that has the size advantage through the run of play, but attacking that player on the offensive glass. Nice job by Sanders.
Bigs certainly like when the small gets stuck on them, right, Karen?
I mean, listen, there's not much you can do in there but foul.
Yep.
Montgomery got the foul. Sanders completed the three-point play. Breland off the mark. And coming in, they've lost 6 of their last 7 games. Still no Angel McCautry, who tore her knee up last year and still is not back. Montgomery had one rim out. Ariel Atkins finds it and buries it. Terrific second-year player out of Texas, and then off the turnover, Tolliver's turn to hit from long distance.
Oh, you see how they can come at you in bunches, and this is going to be a challenge for Atlanta. When you play a team with this much offensive firepower, you feel pressure on every possession. Whether they're scoring or not, you know that they're going to get in a hot streak. Atlanta's offense is going to have to come alive here.
Where they are in a hot streak, they've scored the last 11 points. Tasha Cloud is a tremendous defender, almost got a giveaway, and Tiffany Hayes breaks the 11-0 run.
Atlanta really needed that one. This is an Atlanta team that only 2-6 on the season. Nice drive by Christy Tolliver. That has gotten off to tough starts.
And this was the concern for head coach Nikki Collin, exactly what she didn't want. Timeout, Washington off to a great start.
So many great offensive players on this Washington team. Excellent push of the basketball by Natasha Cloud to find Ariel Atkins. And then you've got the veteran Christy Tolliver as well making a three.
ESPN's coverage of the WNBA is brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing.
Elena Deladon coming back from an injury that looked terrible in Game 2, and all she did, missing Game 3 with the injury, she had a double-double in each and every game that she played. She's back in Atlanta for the first time this season, and out of the timeout, Nia Coffey hits the shot for Atlanta. It was a rough start for Atlanta, Rebecca.
Yeah, Nikki Collin has to be happy. That's the play she drew up in the huddle. I'm here, though, for the hard-hitting reporting, and in that huddle, I have to let you know that women coaches wearing the shorter skirts have to have a higher stool when they come and sit to talk to their teammates than the little short ones that the male coaches sit on. So just thought you might want to know that.
That is good information, and it applies to Nikki Collin today?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Atlanta led this game 2-0. Hayes with the rainbow three.
Well, how about the three-point shot not being a huge part of Atlanta's attack, but it's certainly what's enabled them to stay in this game early. And I feel like I need to step my game up. I do not have a report on the stool height in the Mike Thibault huddle.
Thibault opting not to go with the skirt today. Ariel Atkins. I really love her game. Good defender, finds space. Birthday girl Elizabeth Williams gives it off to Hayes, and on the switch gets it right back to Williams.
Really nice pick and roll delivery on that pass by Tiffany Hayes.
Monique Billings has checked in for the Dream. Number 25 in blue. Second year out of UCLA. Sanders, relentless to the ball. Got fouled on the way.
We talked about how important Tiffany Hayes is to the success offensively in Atlanta. And last year, she was a first-team All-WNBA player, the ability to hit from deep, but she can also deliver the basketball. Beautifully done on the feet to Elizabeth Williams.
Last foul was on Elizabeth Williams as Cloud went wide left with that shot. Hayes draws a lot of contact. Nothing is called either way. Billings able to sneak inside for the putback. Second leading rebounder on this team coming off the bench. Tolliver step back against Billings, a little bit too strong. Montgomery able to sneak in there. Atlanta now on a 13-4 run. After that timeout, they have tied it up. Williams, another good pass, but Billings tied up by Ariel Atkins.
Look at that. I mean, excellent timing. Remember the all-defensive team, her rookie campaign. Brings great length and intelligence to the position.
Atkins about 6 inches shorter than Monique Billings, but was able to get in and get the tie-up. I want to remind you that we have both Rebecca Lobo and Kara Lawson behind the benches on the opposite side of the court. Kara Lawson, who concluded her WNBA career with the Washington Mystics. And you know Rebecca Lobo.
And Pam, I've got some pretty important stuff. If you can see this right here, it's the card that Nikki Collin has all of her plays written down, color-coded, everything else. I didn't look at it. I don't know if I'm allowed to, but it is sitting right in front of me.
Did you steal it?
I'm not even going to look at it.
Offensive rebound for Billings, who has given them a nice punch off the bench. Tolliver and Montgomery tied up a little bit. And they get Tolliver for her first foul.
Carrie doesn't need the play card. She's got all of it committed to memory from her years. How many years did you play for Coach Tebow?
5 years. 5 years.
It's imprinted in that brain of hers.
Yes, yes.
Color-coded and all.
Well, yeah, I don't know. You know, sometimes the names change, Rebecca, so he does change the names of things. So
okay.
Sometimes it takes me a little bit longer, so might not have it till like 20 seconds left on the shot clock.
All right.
Atlanta takes its second lead of the game, now up 17-15. Atkins with the miss. Hawkins, who's in off the bench for Washington, trying to create something underneath, but Billings forced her into a 3-second violation.
Noticeably different, Atlanta is after that timeout for Nikki Collin. From afar, their execution on the offensive end has been great. And up here in front of me, where I'm on the behind the bench, Rebecca, their physicality on the defensive end has been so much better. They've been challenging more of Washington's actions with physical play.
Karen, it's exactly what Nikki Collin talked to us about before the game. It's not X's and O's stuff that her team needs to do better. It's the energy with which they play.
Or lack thereof. Deladon into Hawkins, and that time she beat Billings and got fouled.
Tiana Hawkins has been terrific this year offensively for Washington, giving them a great option off of the bench on the offensive end. She did not handle the physicality of Billings the possession before. Turned it over with a 3-second call, but there she does. And what a luxury this Washington Mystics roster has in the front court. I mean, they're a roster devoid of Emma Meesman right now, who's playing for Belgium in Eurobasket. And you look at what they have, starting Deladon, starting Sanders, and then having Hawkins come off the bench. And when Meesman gets back, man, this is going to be a talented team.
Hawkins averaging 9.5 points per game. That would be a new career high if she could keep that up. And Sheehan Billings this time on the other end. It's Billings' chance for a three-point play.
Monique Billings has been really good for Atlanta so far this season. Usually getting to the offensive glass here. The nice move to get around Tiana Hawkins. Great finish inside. And you see Brittany Sykes coming into the ball game again here for Atlanta. And as she went by Nikki Collin on her way to the scorer's table, Coach Collin said, you got to guard. And Kara, she was talking to us about that before the game. Brittany Sykes, very talented offensive player, but needs to bring a bit more on the defensive end of the floor.
That is why Nia Coffey is in the starting lineup, because she is the better defender. Almost Sykes can light it up scoring-wise. Deladon's been quiet for a while. Draws another double. Hawkins left open. Perfect.
I mean, this team is so balanced, and Deladon has great confidence in her teammates knocking down the shot. The double comes, and it was just an easy pitch out past to Hawkins.
Hawkins might be in the best shape of her life as well. Looks great, playing great. Hayes, right down the left side. Hayes, the first player for either team in double figures. Sykes has Hayes wide open for a three. A little bit too strong. And Breland was able to get it away from Deladon. Same spot, different result this time for Hayes. And Washington is seeing Hayes score pretty much at will. She's got 13.
And I don't know if the Atlanta players can see their coach over on this side, but both times on that possession that Tiffany Hayes caught the ball in the corner, Nikki Collin was pointing to her and pointing to her, get her the basketball.
Tolliver calmly sinks the three. And Kristi Tolliver now over 4,000 career points with that shot. 37th player in WNBA history to hit the 4,000 mark. Hayes again. Hot again. Hayes has scored the last 8 points for the Dream. Shot clock is off as the first quarter comes to a close. Hawkins with the drive and put it in. Hawkins with 8 points off the bench, but Atlanta, after getting into an early hole, riding Tiffany Hayes to the lead.
Tiffany Hayes, 16 first quarter points. She has found her groove, first from the right corner and then from the top. She's feeling it. She's going to let Kristi Tolliver know it too. Check out this look.
Back in Atlanta with Mystics coach Mike Thibault. This is a coach's interview presented by Kaiser Permanente. Mike, Atlanta hitting a ton of three-point shots in that first quarter. What broke down for you defensively?
Well, we went under a couple screens on Tiffany Hayes, and then we did a bad job of blocking out on a couple. And when we're scrambling, they're back in the corner in front of their bench, knocking down threes. Coffey's first one was a big one. I forget who made the other one over there, but, you know, Tiffany Hayes is out of bounds on one of them. But, you know, we got to get back. We got to block out and don't give them those opportunities.
Balance is such a great trait of your team offensively. What have you liked about the shots you're getting?
Well, we're moving the ball. We're getting good looks. We've missed some open ones. I wish we got a few more penetration ones, make them pay and foul us in the lane. Because we have driving lanes available. We got to take advantage of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, Tiffany Hayes with a great first quarter. 27 points scored by Atlanta in the first quarter, the high for them so far this season. Elena Deladon did not score in the last almost 9 minutes of the first quarter, only has 2 points. That ball does go out of bounds to Washington. Pam Ward along with Rebecca Lobo and Kara Lawson, who are both behind the benches this afternoon. Rebecca right behind Nikki Collin on that last shot coming up the court. Ariel Powers with the ball checking in for Mike Thibault. Hawkins underneath, terrific pass by Cloud, but Hawkins couldn't convert. Tiffany Hayes scored the last 8 points for Atlanta. Brittany Sykes found a little bit of a lane. And Monique Billings has brought some of that energy off the bench. Underneath, Hawkins can't handle the pass. WNBA is celebrating equality and inclusion during Pride Month with games on ABC and ESPN and Pride Nights in local markets. Support Pride, support your team. Get tickets today at WNBA.com/tickets. What an interesting season it has been already in the WNBA. Jessica Breland well short. Tori Walker-Kimbrough, who's having her best year as a pro, got the rebound and brought it up court. Cloud, easy.
She's so much more composed when she gets into the lane, understanding if she's going to be able to get that reverse layup or find her shooters. I mean, just marked improvement by Cloud over the course of her career at the position.
Billings with the finish. Tasha Cloud, according to Mike Thibault, one of the best defenders in the WNBA, and now Kara back-to-back on offense.
She pushes the pace. I mean, you've talked about it, Pam. This is the highest scoring team in the WNBA. Well, if you want to score high, there has to be an element of pace to your game offensively, right? You have to push the basketball, and Cloud is the principal piece in allowing Washington to be able to do that.
Powers knew that was off the mark, tried to chase it down, and the ball stays with Washington.
Yeah, having a point guard with this type of skill level, great size, great ability to push the basketball and pass. Part of the role players for Washington, I mean, career highs for all four of them. I mean, Ariel Atkins building off of a wonderful rookie campaign, Natasha Cloud, Tiana Hawkins shooting the basketball at incredible efficiency. 58, 59% from the field, 43% from beyond the arc, and Shatori Walker-Kimbrough getting regular minutes. That really helps you as a young player to get the repetition and to know every night you're going to play. She didn't have that luxury a season ago.
Another basket for Washington. Walker-Kimbrough. Coach Mike Thibault told us before the game that Tara Ruffin-Pratt now out west, and Curry retiring, more playing time, and Walker-Kimbrough has taken advantage of that, bringing more focus to her game.
You know, it's always a challenge, Pam, with young players, because you're trying to get them repetition, but you know, having played for Mike for 5 seasons, he's not just going to give you minutes if you're not playing with the requisite focus that it takes to win games in this league, right? I mean, this is the best league in the world, and if you're going to give away possessions, he's not going to reward you with playing time. So that's always a challenge being a young player, is finding a way to get minutes and not making too many mistakes that they're not taken away from you the next game.
Have to earn the minutes. Sykes got behind everybody.
And a beautiful pass by Maite Cazorla. Coach Collins so excited about her rookie.
Elena Deladon finally gets her second basket of the game. She scored about 1:06 in and had not been heard from since. Gets Washington the lead. Deladon scoring 16 points per game on average. It's tough to get into this Washington lineup too, Carrie. You mentioned that Emma Miesemann is playing over in Eurobasket along with Kim Mestel, but there's so much talent on this Washington team just getting minutes right now.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting moving forward when Miesemann gets back, as far as how much of the big lineup do we see from Washington in terms of having Deladon, Miesemann, and Sanders all on the floor together, or how much of the traditional lineup that I anticipate they'll start with. There's a lot of different options that Mike is going to have offensively and defensively to just change speeds, so to speak, throughout the game. And it's an embarrassment of riches in the front court, that's for sure. I mean, starting quality post players that start for him and that come off the bench.
Powers hits both free throws after being fouled by Monique Billings. 4-point advantage. The Atlanta Dream also, they don't have Alex Bentley. She's over playing for Belarus in Eurobasket. She has been a component that they are missing. Billings having quite a game.
You know, it's interesting, Rebecca. I love what Billings has done today. And I go back to our conversation with Nicki Collen before the game and the things she talked about her team needing, right? Like pace, energy, all those things. And those are the things that Billings brings in spades.
One of the things she mentioned early on were their post players, as you see Renee Montgomery drained one there, was wanting to get the rim running post and get out in transition, and Billings has done a nice job of that.
Renee Montgomery able to pour in the basket. So Atlanta back on top, trailed by as many as 9 points in the first quarter. Cloud, open look, left it short. Billings with another rebound. There's Cazorla, the rookie out of Oregon. And we can see why Nicki Collen's happy to have her.
You mentioned Alex Bentley not being here because she's playing with Eurobasket. One of the opportunities that gives is more minutes for Maite Cazorla, and she's a rookie who they're very excited about and eager to give her those minutes.
Powers, nothing doing. Sanders working hard as always, hunts down the basketball. Cloud left open. Latoya Sanders all over the boards. Tebow, I remember, was so excited when he was able to get Latoya Sanders on his squad. Had some issues with anemia last year, but is doing much better in that respect, health-wise.
Shoot, you think he was excited? I was excited. I played with her. Whenever I got beat, she blocked shots. It was great. It's a wonderful existence as a perimeter defender.
She was back there cleaning it up, huh?
She's an incredible defender. Incredible.
Talking about defense, let's talk about some offense, and that's with the Atlanta Dream right now. Getting it done from the outside, Renee Montgomery hitting another three for the Atlanta Dream. And then out in transition, you go from the vet point guard to the rookie point guard, getting it done.
Welcome back to Atlanta. Nicki Collen, in her second year, the WNBA Coach of the Year last season, played her college ball at Marquette. An assistant at 5 different schools. Now her second season here at Atlanta. Rebecca Lobo's over there, close to Coach Collen.
Well, I think she heard me talking about the play call card that was right in front of me, because before that last timeout, she took the card and it's no longer here. I understand it's intellectual property. I won't look at it. But what's fascinating sitting in front of where she's kind of pacing all game is that it's like when you're out on the golf course and you putt and you're leaning each way to try to get the ball to go in. That's what she's doing every time they take a shot. There's just a lot of leaning, a lot of pointing, a lot of talking. So using the body language a lot over here on the sideline.
Sykes able to get one of the free throws down. Rebecca Lobo behind the bench at the Atlanta Dream, and Kara Lawson over there next to the Washington Mystics. What a game we have here. Atlanta now up by 2. Atkins, boy, Washington has not been good from three-point range this afternoon. Usually that's one of their strengths. They're only 4 of 17 beyond the arc. Lead the league in three-point shooting, averaging 9 per game, but are having trouble finding the bottom of the bucket tonight. Off Deladon. According to Cheryl Flores, being helped by Tara Cruz and Tim Green this afternoon.
Oh, Pam, this is something we talked about last year in their playoff series in the semifinals of Jessica Breland's comfort level defending Elena Deladon because of the time they spent together in Chicago. Elena Deladon's a hard guard no matter if you know what she's going to do or not, but she feels a comfort level of being able to anticipate what's going to happen.
Deladon is 2 of 5 from the floor this afternoon. Gets the rebound off the Zorla miss. Deladon bringing the ball up and takes it right at Elizabeth Williams, trying to draw contact. Mike Tebow yelling for the foul that was not called. Montgomery. Nope, Deladon with another board. Atkins. Stuffed by Sykes. There's some defense from Brittany Sykes. Timeout on the floor. Atlanta clinging to a 2-point lead over the Mystics.
Kevin Connors, Katie Douglas coming up on the WNBA Halftime Report presented by State Farm. We're going to play high-low. Katie's going to give us the pros and cons of 3 different teams. We'll also have an update on Diana Taurasi. How do I put this? This has been a free-flowing first half.
And I say, pardon the pun, it's a player's dream. There's not a lot of defense going on, but I'm sure that's something that they'll address at halftime.
A lot of offense in this first half. We will see you coming up on the WNBA Halftime Report presented by State Farm. Pam, Rebecca, and Kara, back to you.
Thank you, Kevin. And Katie, who apparently wishes she was out playing. And they talked about Diana Taurasi. This is terrific news around the league. Diana Taurasi close to coming back after back surgery. Candace Parker struggling coming back for the Sparks. And it's so great to have Dan Hughes back on the sidelines for Seattle. And the Eurobasket going on. Well, all the players will be back after the tournament ends July 7th, including Emma Miesemann, who plays for Washington, and Alex Bentley, who plays for Atlanta. Oliver continues Washington's almost putrid three-point shooting performance. They've missed 7 straight from 3, Rebecca. That's not good.
It's putrid, apparently, Pam.
Washington usually quite good from beyond the arc. Ariel Atkins has committed a foul for Washington. Washington coming in with 2 very impressive wins on the road during this 4-game road trip, winning in LA and in Las Vegas. They will conclude their road trip in Chicago in a couple of days after they all go to see the Cubs play. Montgomery got a good look at the 2. 2 minutes to go in the half. Sanders working on Williams. A little bit too strong. Breland able to save it before she crashed to the floor. Deladon gets another rebound. Only has 4 points, but 6 rebounds now. Make it 6 and 6. So much touch off glass.
Well, there's not much you can do as a defender when she's coming at you in transition. You have to be close enough because she can just pull up for 3. And then when she drives, I mean, she just has a great ability to keep that basketball high. And obviously, excellent touch around the basket.
So skilled at 6'5". Sykes has it dribble off. That's 6 ties and 6 lead changes in this game. Washington with the giveaway as we hit a minute to go in the half. Montgomery with Deladon guarding her. Goes inside to Williams.
I saw what Renee Montgomery saw, and that's Elizabeth Williams' eyes were huge because she knew she had a small on her in the post. She wanted the basketball. The look on her face was priceless.
Like another birthday present today for Williams. Deladon not guarded, but Clouds found her way to the basket and got fouled.
So that play is going to look like Natasha Cloud does everything here, but what sets this up is all the defenders going to Elena Deladon. So they're trying to switch Renee Montgomery out because of the initial switch on the ball screen action. They're trying to kick out switch her on that backside, and 2 defenders flood to the near side, and all of a sudden this lane opens up for Natasha Cloud. So even though Deladon's not having this unbelievable production in the first half, 6.6 rebounds, she's making everything happen.
Now by Breland. Upcoming WNBA TV schedule coming up tonight. Connecticut, they're really good, playing at Chicago. Much improved team. Tuesday at 7 Eastern on CBS Sports Network. Minnesota, they won last night taking on the Fever. And we will see you next in our nation's capital, Connecticut at Washington at 2 Eastern. Next Sunday on ESPN. Atlanta has taken a timeout as they lead by 1.
We got to get a stop here. Get a stop.
We need to block out. They got 8 offensive rebounds in the first 5 minutes of the game. We don't give that up, all right? Let's go.
Back in Washington, Rebecca Lobo behind the Dream bench. Kara Lawson with the Mystics. What a game this has been. As Washington had a 9-point lead in the first quarter, Atlanta coming back.
Rebecca, is there anybody sitting next to you?
No, there's lots of room for my sweatshirt in this freezing cold arena.
I have friends next to me. They're very pleasant.
Breland able to sneak in and get the putback. And Washington hit before the end of the half. Tolliver floats it. Nothing doing. And Atlanta, after a very slow start, heads into the locker room with a 3-point lead. Tiffany Hayes with 16 points. The rest of the starters combining for 16. As Nikki Collins' team able to rebound from a very, very slow start to take the lead into the locker room. Christy Tolliver leading Washington with 8 points. Deladon only has 6. Rebecca Lobo has Tiffany Hayes, who's been lighting it up.
Tiff, 16 first quarter points for you. Washington normally guards the 3-ball really well. How have you and your teammates been able to go off from the perimeter?
We've just been knocking them in. We've been working really hard on our shots. We know they haven't been falling this season so far, but we've definitely been working hard in practice to shoot those threes and make those threes, and today they're just falling.
In a good position going into the half against one of the best teams in the WNBA. What are going to be the keys for you coming out in the last 20 minutes?
Just stay aggressive. Do what we've been doing. We getting our communication together on defense, and that's what we've been working on also, and just keep knocking down those threes, and I think we'll be fine.
All right, Tiff, thank you. Pam.
Tiffany has hit 4 of Atlanta's 6 threes as they lead by 3. Stay tuned for the WNBA halftime report with Kevin and Katie, presented by State Farm. That comes your way right after these messages. Welcome back to Atlanta. What a game we have. Atlanta down 9 in the first quarter, and they have taken a 3-point lead over the Washington Mystics as we head into the second half. We had 6 ties and 6 lead changes in a very entertaining first half. I'm Pam Ward, joined here by Kara Lawson and by Rebecca Lobo. Both of them are behind the benches for this game. Kara Lawson is over there with the Mystics.
Well, tremendous balance, Pam, for Washington in that first half on the offensive end of the floor. A lot of attention being paid to Elena Deladon, and rightfully so. And I thought she got the basketball out of her hands quickly and was able to set up her teammates for some nice open looks. I know they would have liked to have made more shots in that first half, but you see the balance, 8, 7, 7, 6, 5. So a lot to like about how many people are scoring the ball for Mike Thibault, and we've had a mic on him all afternoon.
Transition, you got to get back and not let them see gaps, all right? Obviously, Hayes has got it going a little bit. Everybody that plays her, you got to make her put it on the floor, and you got to have help. But we can't have gaps. We've done a good job of getting up in her a couple times, or Sykes, they're going and they're finding gaps because we're not getting in and getting back out.
And this is an Atlanta Dream team that needed to play with energy and passion, and Nikki Collins had to be pleased with the way they did that in the first half. In particular, the first quarter for Tiffany Hayes was absolutely outstanding, 16 first quarter points. But this team, while led by Tiffany Hayes, isn't just Tiffany Hayes. And while she went quiet a bit in the second quarter in terms of her scoring, the rest of her teammates played well. They shot the 3-ball extraordinarily well in that first half.
Atlanta really helped by Monique Billings, who came off the bench, has a career-high 10 rebounds and is 2 points away from her first career double-double, and that's a terrific start. Tolliver finding Sanders.
That's a great start, and Rebecca mentioned in the first half the Tolliver rules in terms of trapping. So what does Washington do? Open side, ball screen action, 2 go to Tolliver, and Sanders wide open for the bucket.
Breland with the miss. Deladon comes down with the rebound. Deladon just 6 points in the first half. Missed both of her threes. Hit that one.
Well, that's a colossal breakdown in transition for Atlanta. I mean, leaving Deladon open. You can't have 2 feet stuck in the paint if you're Elizabeth Williams defending her as she's running down the court.
Nikki Collins mentioned to us before the game that getting 2 people on Deladon and Tolliver was a point of emphasis. Coffee draws the foul.
I mean, where is everybody? I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I would even understand more if 2 people ran to Deladon and that left another Washington player open. But you have to find her. The second she steps across half court, you have to know where she is.
I think we should start calling that playing defense with your eyes. When you're not contesting with your hands or your body or anything else, you're just looking at the person shooting, you're playing defense with your eyes. Contesting the shot with your eyes. It's not very effective.
It's not a good thing.
Especially when you're talking about Deladon. Right?
Yeah, you'll soon be watching the game on the bench with your eyes. All right, if you keep doing that.
Shot clock at 4. Atkins drew the foul. Coffey picks up her second. Ariel Atkins had 5 points in the first half. A spectacular game in Los Angeles a couple of games ago. A season high 22 points. She hit 5 threes in that game. Washington in the midst of a 4-game road trip. They've won the first 2 in LA and in Las Vegas.
Who's got shooter? Who's got shooter? Watch pressure here.
You know, Rebecca, you touched on this at the top, and this is a big game for Atlanta because of their record, starting the season at 2-6. Trying to climb their way back up in the Eastern Conference. And the interesting thing about the WNBA and the 34-game regular season schedule is you don't have time to fall behind like this. I mean, they really need to start playing better basketball and accumulating some wins.
And one thing I'm eager to see here in the second half is when have been struggling at times in the season. They shot the ball pretty well in the first half, and, you know, shooting the ball well is contagious, but can they stick with it if they have some times where they struggle? If they go through any droughts here early, how will they respond to that?
Cloud unable to finish. Atlanta did trail by 9 in the first quarter before they made a big run. But they have been getting off to infamously slow starts in games this year. They have lost 6 of the last 7 coming into this afternoon. Trying to get it inside to Williams, knocked around to Cloud.
Some of the times Atlanta has struggled has been because of things like that. Just careless passes or turnovers that lead to points the other way.
Deladon, so nice. She's a right-handed player who goes left naturally.
Well, 5 quick points from Deladon already coming out of the gates here in the second half, the third quarter. And Washington, that offense is starting to percolate a little bit in the third.
Tebow's team has scored the first 9 points of the third quarter. A great career. No one has more wins in the history of this league as a head coach. Carol Lawson played with him for 5 years.
Yeah, I look at the strengths of a head coach of Mike Tebow, and from my experience, it starts with the offensive wizardry. And you look at how they run different things and how they disguise different things. It's just really hard to prepare for. Veteran relationships, I think he's one of the best in the league at this, at talking with his veterans about everything, giving them a say in terms of whether it's a practice time or whether it's the type of plays that you might want to run. And then you look at game adaptability. And game adaptability, as the game is going along, there are things that you need to adapt and change as a coach. And, you know, just in this afternoon, whether it's been how they're getting into a play, how they're ending a play, tweaking something based on how Atlanta is running it. I learned so much as a player playing for him, just how to change things on the fly, how to put different stuff in sometimes the day of. We'd put a new play in sometimes the day of a game, and we'd be expected to know it and run it, and so it forced us to be better in terms of thinking the game. And you look at this team, and I think this might be his best offensive team that he's ever had as a coach in the WNBA, and that's saying something because of all the talent that he's coached over the years.
He had a Connecticut Sun team that he took to the finals a couple of times, took Washington to the finals last year for the first time in their history. Good ball movement, but Williams blew the bunny. And Washington on pace to set a franchise record for points per game this year. Along with steals, they have been great out of the gate. Elena Deladon, she's back. 12-0 run for Washington to start this third quarter. They started the game on an 11-2 run, started the second quarter on a 10-4 run, and now it's 12-zip here in this third quarter. Nightmare scenario for Nikki Collins' team. They've been stuck on 45 points since late in the second quarter.
And Pam, we talked at the top of the show how Nikki Collins said so much of the struggles her team has to do with energy and effort and passion. And assistant coach Mike Peterson, in the last time out, the first thing he said to the team when they came in is our energy is not the same as it was. And Nikki Collins talking to her team, we have to stop turning the basketball over. They've come away with too many empty possessions here to start the third.
They are all empty so far in the third quarter. Tiffany Hayes has not scored since the first quarter when she hit 16 points. She's already tied a career high by making 4 threes, but has been unable to score since that terrific first quarter. Zorla will come in for Atlanta at the next whistle. Deladon missing. Hawkins able to get the follow. Hawkins, Coach Tebow said playing with some chronically sore knees, but she has been all over it this afternoon.
There's not many post players, veteran post players, that don't have chronically sore knees.
Spoken from experience?
Yes.
Are they still sore?
Yeah, I'm sitting over here on the side and I have chronically sore knees.
3 subs going to come in now for Atlanta, including Monique Billings, who was terrific off the bench in the first half. Make it 4 subs as Sykes heads to the bench. And that's a blocking foul called against Coffey. Coming up Saturday, you get to see the Washington Mystics again, this time in their beautiful new building in Washington, D.C. as they take on the Connecticut Sun out to a 9-1 start. 2 Eastern right here on ESPN and the ESPN app. We look forward to that game Saturday afternoon. Carrie, you've been to that building. Nice building?
I have been to the building. I have not seen a game in the building yet, though. But it doubles as a practice facility for the Mystics, as well as the Wizards during the NBA season. And they've done a nice job. And I'm looking forward to experiencing our first game in there from an atmosphere basis.
Mike Tebow loves that atmosphere. They opened the building against Atlanta in early June. Sold-out crowd.
That should be a great game. Those are the 2 teams in the WNBA right now playing the best basketball.
Sun and the Mystics from D.C. next Saturday afternoon. Billings doubled. Hayes from the outside. Still nothing doing since the first quarter for Tiffany Hayes. And still no points for Atlanta in this quarter. 0 for 6. The floor. Mismatch. Sykes guarding Deladon. There's the whistle. They get Hayes her second. Ariel Atkins, a little bit too strong off the glass. And Marie Gulich, who did not play in the first half, number 24 in blue, comes up with the rebound. Second-year player out of Oregon State. Came over in a trade with Phoenix for the draft rights to Brianna Turner. Saw some frustration from Hayes. At least she drew a foul.
Another sub.
Atlanta still hasn't scored, right? I mean, almost 7 minutes into the third quarter. And they haven't been able to get a point.
Deladon and Atkins head to the bench for Washington. And there's the first points.
There we go. I mean, Nikki Collins knew she needed to just change up the chemistry on the floor a little bit and inserts 4 players from her bench into the game. Maite Cazorla with a much-needed 3-pointer for the Dream.
Now 4 of 10 in her young WNBA career from 3. Tolliver with a nice little head fake. Now into double figures.
The difference in teams who are having some success and those who are struggling is every team will have some droughts during a game. But when you've had success leading up to that point, you know how to play through it and get through it and have the confidence to do that. But when you're struggling the way Atlanta has struggled this year, sometimes it can snowball. You know, you go 6.5 minutes without scoring in a quarter because you can't find your way out. And that's one place Nicki Collen was telling us where a year ago when they had Angel McCoughtry, she could help stop those kind of runs because she could get the basketball and go and get buckets for you.
Yeah, it's a great point, Rebecca. When you're in a locker room, the more you lose, the easier it is to lose. I don't know if that makes sense what I'm trying to say, but like when you're starting a season, you're fighting with everything you have to try and win games. And each loss that happens can wear away at the fight that you have in an individual possession and through the course of a game. And that's what you're fighting against from a psychological standpoint when you're in a hole like Atlanta is to not give in, to make it be easier to lose, to continue to play with that same type of effort and that same type of positive mindset that you need. I mean, losing wears on you as a competitor. It really does. It's very frustrating.
Monique Billings just picked up her 3rd personal foul, 5 team fouls now, so the Mystics in the bonus for the rest of this quarter. We got a shot of Angel McCoughtry over on the bench. Is Atlanta going to get her back this year?
Well, later on this week, she has a strength test, and they will know a lot more. You know, Angel coming back from an ACL reconstruction. They will know more after she has the strength test of whether or not she's going to be back this year.
Angel McCoughtry, one of the best players in the history of this league. And there are the numbers to back that up. 9 seasons with Atlanta. They were rolling last year, and then as Rebecca mentioned, she hurt her knee, ACL injury on August 7th. First time Atlanta's been in the playoffs without her. They got all the way to the semis before falling to this Washington team in 5 games. Walker Kimbrough tied up Billings, so they'll jump.
Kara, what's the strategy when you're a much shorter player in the jump ball situation? Like, were you one of the ones who just wouldn't even jump, or, you know, what is the little person's strategy?
I can't speak for little people with no hops. I happen to have wonderful hops. No. Well, the first strategy is sometimes you just violate, right? Because side out, especially if it's in the offensive end of the person you're jumping against, because you don't want to be at a disadvantage. So a lot of times you just violate and let them have the ball side out so you concede it. The strategy, if I was allowed to be let loose, Rebecca, on the jump ball,
let me hear it.
Then my strategy was jump first. Like, because the ball is starting closer to me than the big player. So if I jump first and I time it, then I can get to it before them, because I'm not trying to beat them at the peak. I'm trying to beat them as it's on its way out.
You're getting it on the way out.
Exactly, jump first.
Which is not supposed to. I mean, that's against the rules, too, but, you know.
Well, you know, you see, and then
you do what you can do.
Yeah, I mean, and then if they say you violated, then you violated, and they get it anyways, right? So, yeah.
Did that strategy ever work, Kara?
Oh, are you kidding me? Yes. It worked a lot.
Kara and I are going to do a jump ball at center court as soon as the game ends.
I mean, if you think about it, inherently a jump ball is unfair to small players.
Yes.
Because they're always throwing it high. Like, I don't know. Why don't they throw it towards the ground instead of up in the air?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Bring that to the competition.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that are inherently, you know, disadvantage for us. Just so you guys know. I'm just saying.
On the basketball court and in life.
Yes. Well, no, there's some. I mean, airplane seats for you guys. Rebecca.
That is true.
I mean, that's tough.
That is true.
And for these players as they travel.
No chartering in the WNBA, so you see him cooped up in the back a lot of times. Gulic hit both free throws. They are down 13, led by 3 at the half. But then went cold from the floor. Great defense by Cloud to get it right back. And Hawkins couldn't convert.
I talked about how good Hawkins has shot the ball this year. Man, she's missed some easy ones tonight. Blowing some bunnies.
She's only 4 of 7 from the floor. Washington outscoring Atlanta 20-5 in this quarter. More contact underneath, another whistle. WNBA this month celebrating equality and inclusion during Pride Month with games on ABC and ESPN. Pride nights in local markets. Support Pride. Support your team. Get your tickets today at WNBA.com/tickets. Billings at the line. Let me remind you of some games upcoming tonight on NBA TV, Connecticut at Chicago, Tuesday on CBS Sports Network, Minnesota's at Indiana, and we will see you next Saturday from Washington. What a beauty this is. Connecticut at Washington, 2 Eastern on ESPN. Visit WNBA.com or the WNBA app for more information. And you have just witnessed Monique Billings' first career double-double. And she hit the 2 free throws.
So surprising, as talented as she is, especially in terms of a rebounder, that's her first double-double.
That's a big-time stuff by Gulic. Maybe that'll get Atlanta going.
So often, shot blockers bring their arms down and get fouls as a result. Gulic, a great job continuing to keep the spacing between her and the offensive player and not letting her arm come down.
Gulic is 6'5" center out of Oregon State. On the German national teams for several years. Sienna Hawkins with the three-point answer. Inside a minute to go in what has been a Washington-dominated third quarter. And another giveaway. Tolliver all by herself. Atlanta has scored 10 points, let's check that, 7 points in this quarter. Washington has 25. Sykes, a block from behind, and now Washington can take the final shot of the quarter. Cloud drives and draws the foul. Ricky Cazorla picked it up. Natasha Cloud, 79% free throw shooter, heads to the line. And look at this third quarter. Atlanta just 1 of 10 from the floor. It was a 3 by Cazorla.
It's, you know, when you watch Atlanta have that type of performance in the first half, at least when we look at the small sample size of the 2019 season, you had to think in the back of your mind, will they be able to do this for an entire game? Because they certainly haven't shot the ball like that very often this season. And Washington is really in great position entering this fourth quarter to add to what's already been an impressive road trip. I mean, going into LA and winning, going into Vegas and winning, and now set up to going into Atlanta and winning. I mean, that's as good as it gets.
Atlanta outscored 27-7, plus 20 for Washington in that quarter as we end the third.
Welcome back to Atlanta here with Dream head coach Nikki Collins. 7 points in that quarter. How do you get things going on the offensive end?
Well, I mean, we started with 2 missed foul shots, you know, when Nia drove and Elizabeth missed the layup. I think when you're playing a team in the top half of the league, you got to make those easy ones so that then all of a sudden the next shot goes. We started with missed box outs and turnovers. We're never going to score points if we do that.
You talked to us before the game about this team needing energy and passion. How do you think they've done in that regard?
Well, I thought we were good early, you know, but that starting group struggled again. And, you know, it's never good when you've got to bring 4 people in for energy. We've let the body language get away from us a little bit. So when they go back in, they got to bring it. You know, we were down 22 at Connecticut, cut it to 5. We got to chip away at it 1 possession at a time.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. And boy, another point given to Washington during the break. They looked at a 2 by Tolliver that was judged a 3. So Washington outscored Atlanta 28-7 in that third quarter. The 7 points, the lowest scoring quarter for Atlanta this season. As they led by 3 at the half. Cam Ward along with Carol Lawson and Rebecca Lobo, who were behind the benches this afternoon in Atlanta. And Tiffany Hayes wanting the foul, but at least she scored the basket. That is her first points since she had 16 in the first quarter. Ariel Powers challenges Gulic and wins. Coffey, that's contact from Hawkins, and they'll get the foul on the fifth-year pro out of Maryland. For a second.
You referenced Tiffany Hayes just scoring her first point since the first quarter. I mean, some of that credit goes to Natasha Cloud defensively. I mean, this is one of the elite defenders in the WNBA, and she can use that 6'1" frame, and her intelligence is just getting better year by year by year, and understanding how to guard the players in the league, right? That experiential wisdom that you gain by going through a season and having to check different players. And Mike Thibault can put her against the top point guards in the league, and you put her against the top 2 guards in the league, and he feels really good about you know, the type of defensive effort he's going to get on a given game from Cloud.
He told us what, she's one of the 5 best defenders in the league?
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
And you agree?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think how it's subjective, right, in terms of how you evaluate defense. And there are certainly different metrics you can use and advanced metrics and all those things. But what I look for, Pam, when I'm evaluating a perimeter defender is, one, you have to understand the scheme that they're in, right? And I certainly understand the scheme that Washington's in terms of what her jobs are. When you look at the players that she's being tasked to guard, right? She's not being hidden defensively. She's being tasked to guard like the top players in the WNBA on the perimeter. And then is she able to make them work for what they're doing? Is she able to have to force them to have maybe games that are below average? And so when you look at what Cloud is able to do and the intelligence with which she plays, I absolutely think she's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. And certainly her fitness level, her athleticism, all of those things come into play. But she's right up there.
Kara, I've got a question for you. Cloud comes out. She was just walking right in front of you. You referenced her as 6'1". Now, last year on the WNBA website, she was listed as 6'1". This year, she's listed as 5'9". Where is she actually?
Are we including the bun or not?
Let's do both. Give it with bun and without bun.
Well, I'm 5'8", and that's like a legit thing. And she's more than 1 inch taller than me. So I'm not sure why she's only listed as 5'9". I would say probably somewhere in between.
Somewhere, all right.
Yeah, 5'9", 6'1".
About Tiana Hawkins.
I mean, and then sometimes, you know, now they do these heights where it's like with shoes, without shoes. Have you seen that? Like they'll measure a player with shoes or without shoes. Yeah, I don't know.
Nikki Collins,
say 6'1".
Nikki Collins today, big difference between with shoes and without shoes.
Yeah.
Just as a PS.
Finishing on the other end, Aerial Powers. Washington coming out of the locker room in the second half, and they have just overpowered this Atlanta team.
I don't think that Mike Thibault's going to pull the plug just right now in terms of getting Delle Donne and Tolliver out. But we referenced early in the game Hawkins having some trouble, some soreness with her knees, and obviously another game on this road trip to go. If they're able to maintain this cushion, I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to find a way at the end of this fourth quarter to sneak some rest for his veterans.
Christy Tolliver in her 11th season out of Maryland. Delle Donne, believe it or not, is almost 30 years old. Coffey, nothing doing. Delle Donne comes down with yet another rebound. That is her 9th of the game. Marvelous game, their last game on the road against Las Vegas, a season high 29 points. Powers has it rim out. Washington concludes their road trip at Chicago with a noon game 3 days from now. Thibault talked about how harmonious this team was, and Elena Delle Donne helped organize getting enough tickets to go see the Cubs host the Braves tomorrow. After Sunday Night Baseball, it is SportsCenter. Kenny Mayne, hilarious, and John Anderson. More on what's next for Kawhi and free agency, plus the pitching matchup between Jacob deGrom and Cole Hamels. And Mike Trout lives out his dream. SportsCenter after the Angels and the Cardinals on ESPN and the ESPN app. Gulich, that's a nice look from Hayes.
Good things tend to happen when any team, of course, but in particular Atlanta, when they can get those touches, dribble penetration,
That's a really nice pass by Tiffany Hayes. 4 points off the bench for Gulich. Deladon. So smooth.
I love right there in front of me. As soon as Deladon hit that shot, she looked over to her guard and said, nice pass. I mean, it's little things, but they're important. Pointing at a teammate, ooh, and then she follows it up with a block. Pointing at a teammate, just telling them good pass, makes them want to give you the ball more.
Ariel Powers left it short. Deladon back-to-back double-doubles. Double-double today, had one in Vegas. Coffey with the 3. Atlanta down by 20. Sanders and Natasha Cloud, 2 starters for Washington, about to check back in. Foul as Tolliver tried to find Deladon underneath. Tolliver and Deladon, they are harmonious.
Now the Mystics in full command of this one in the 4th quarter, up by 20 points. Their all-star connection, Elena Deladon and Christy Tolliver. We'll hear more from both of them on their friendship when we come back.
Oh. Describe how your friendship and chemistry with me has grown this season.
I mean, I think our friendship has grown like so much from the first year where we didn't know each other. We didn't know what each other even liked on the court. I didn't even know like your favorite beer. You didn't know mine. Now, I mean, we just know each other so well. I feel like you're such a comfort to me. Like having you on the court, I know I'm good. Like I take a deep breath. I'm like, all right, I got my panda. I'm good.
You look at these 2 talented players and so skilled on the offensive end, but so unselfish. And when your best offensive players understand the big picture, like they understand that it's about the team, and we saw this from Elena Deladon in that first half. Was that not just a beautiful picture of that? A lot of attention coming to her, double teams, was fine giving up the basketball and getting her teammates open shots, and there's Christy Tolliver right on cue with another open jumper. When that happens, that filters through the rest of your team, and it allows them to play this beautiful style of basketball on the offensive end.
More importantly, Kara, I know Pam Ward's favorite beer, but I don't know yours. So we gotta figure that out soon.
You want to? It's root beer. Yeah.
Not Guinness?
No.
Oh, that's mine.
No, I know. You named your dog Guinness.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. I know that. I didn't know. I assumed that was your favorite beer because you had a dog named Guinness, but yeah. I don't know your favorite beer, Rebecca.
Birch.
Birch. Okay.
Tolliver has that one rimmed out. What do you guys like about being behind the benches this afternoon? Besides being apart from me.
Yeah, more leg room, more place to spread out. I mean, this is, Pam, the best part about watching a game live to me is being able to hear all the chatter, right? Like being able to sit here and hear what the players are saying to one another on the court, to hear what the coaches are yelling, to be able to be in the huddles and see in real time what adjustments are trying to be made. You just learn so much about a team. I mean, I've been on the Washington side. You learn so much about a team and, you know, how successful I think that they can be when you're in these moments where you get to see them compete.
And you heard Nicki Collen talk in her third quarter interview about the body language of her team. That's interesting to take note of as well, as when a team, especially like Atlanta today, when they've had some struggles, how they are in the huddle, who is the voice in the huddle. And Pam, ESPN might have some problems now because everyone who works with you asks to be seated across the court. And now that they've let it happen for me and Kara, I don't know how they're going to go back.
Is there an answer to who has the voice in the huddle for Atlanta?
You know, it's been different people at different times. Renee Montgomery, one of their leaders and their point guard, has been the one I've noticed most.
Atlanta down big to Washington as we take a timeout.
ESPN's coverage of the WNBA is brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing.
Welcome back. We remind you to listen to the Around the Rim podcast with our own LaChina Robinson. New episodes weekly on the ESPN app or the Apple Podcast. LaChina Robinson live and in person, a proud Atlanta resident. She is here at the game, and she will have Lindsey Gottlieb on the show this week, along with Jonquel Jones having a great year with Connecticut, and Devereaux Peters, the co-host. Ciara looks like she could go on TV right now. Well, she is on TV right now. Good job, Jeremy Brown, with the shot. Elena Delle Donne and the Washington Mystics. Holy smokes. She's good. This is the best Mystics team I've ever seen, Carol Lawson.
I mean, remember, they're without Emma Meesman.
Right.
I mean, so they're definitely one of the true championship contenders here in the league. And, you know, very difficult to beat when they play defense at the level that they played in this second half. Okay, held Atlanta to almost 7 minutes without a point in that third quarter. And their offense, they didn't shoot it great from beyond the arc in the first half, but they have enough good players offensively that they were still able to score 40-plus points without knocking down the three-point shot with great efficiency in that first half. So there's a lot to like about this team. Do they have to improve in certain areas? Yes, absolutely. But I think Washington's going to be right there in it until the end of the season.
Carrie and Tolliver, Rebecca sat down.
And Carrie, you talk about Washington's defense here in the second half. That's been one of the things I think most noticeable on this road trip. Is yes, their offense has been very good and they've been hot from the three-point line, but their defense has been really on point.
That's their key. That's their key if they want to take that final step. Of course, lost to Seattle in the WNBA Finals last season. And, you know, who knows what would have happened last year if Elena Delle Donne's healthy, fully healthy, 100% in that finals. But Seattle certainly was the best team all season long and had a dominant performance in the playoffs as well. But you look at this group now, they have a little bit more depth, particularly across the front line than they did a season ago. And every one of their young players, we showed you a graphic earlier in the game, their support young players all averaging career highs this season. So they gained experience from last year's run as well.
No, don't give him this. Don't give him this. AP, you're the four.
Shea Petty and Maisha Hines-Allen have checked in now for Washington. Latoya Sanders sits down. Sanders with 7 points and 8 rebounds for Mike Thibault's team. They will get Emma Meesman back after Eurobasket concludes in the first week of July. Montgomery with the back rim. So Atlanta's going down for the 7th time in their last 8 games. A cause for concern here with the Dream, Rebecca?
Yeah, of course. This is a team that's not playing great, and when Nikki Collin was talking to us before the game about passion and energy, the good thing are those are things that you can fix. The bad thing is that you have to fix them. Those should be there at all times. And, we'll hear the news about Angel McClarty and her possible return, but you have to expect that she's not coming back if you remember this team and prepare for that. But absolutely, right now, Kara talked about it earlier. The way this season is, they continue to dig themselves a hole.
Shot clock disintegrating. Walker Kimbrough just needed a flash of a second to hit the three. Washington's done a good job taking care of the ball today. Also, guys, only 8 turnovers for the Mystics. That is a season low. A minute to go as Breland got fouled. Washington team coming in. What a great offensive club, leading the league in scoring, field goal percentage, threes per game, free throw percentage, and assists. But as Kara mentioned, their defense has shown up big time in this second half. Certainly look forward to the game Saturday when Connecticut comes to Washington. A couple of powerhouses going at it. That is our next TV game. ESPN. inside a minute to go. Tiffany Hayes with 18 points, but 16 of them came in the first quarter. She is now out of the game. Cazorla with the basket.
How about that? Little hesitation, then over to the left, and teardrop off the backboard. Beautiful.
Powers. In and out. Washington about to go 3-0 on this 4-game road trip. 7-3 now on the season. Atlanta drops to 2-7. They've lost 7 of their last 8. They saw a 3-point halftime advantage disappear and end up losing to the Mystics 89-73. Mike Thibault's team is rolling. Deladon back-to-back double-doubles, 21 points, 10 rebounds this afternoon. Christy Tolliver with 17, along with Tiana Hawkins. First career double-double for Monique Billings for Atlanta, one of the few bright spots for them this afternoon. Let's go over now to Rebecca Lobo.
This Atlanta team clearly a team that is still searching for what they need to do in order to win basketball games consistently. Their starters continue to struggle a bit. Nice performance in particular in that first quarter by Tiffany Hayes, but Washington has had a great last week, a terrific road trip. Right now, Washington along with the Connecticut Sun are the two teams in the WNBA playing the best basketball in the league, and standing by with one of the stars in the league is Kara Lawson.
Elena, this road trip has been a great statement for you guys. 3 road wins in a row. What has been the difference in your team during the trip?
We turned up our defense. We know our offense is really good, but our defense just wasn't doing enough. And even in this first half, we weren't getting rebounds. We weren't playing good D. We came out, play good D, get stops, we can score the basketball.
How much confidence do you have in this group on the offensive end? Because I noticed how content you were in the first half with a lot of players coming towards you, passing the ball to your teammates. I mean, how much does that balance give you confidence?
Yeah, I have all the trust in the world in the next pass. There's really no reason to force anything when I've got that much talent around me.
Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
A big win.